outrageous comments that anyone could make, and certainly something that I think is a fireable offense by ESPN.
Really? That's White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders yesterday. The response to the tweets from ESPN's anchor Jemele Hill for calling out Donald Trump and his racist ways. Jemele Hill, of course, in her particular tweet, there were several tweets where she was responding to someone. She said that the president is a white supremacist, criticized him and those around him. Well, that has ticked off the right. They've been criticizing her for that. And so this is the full statement. This is I want to play for you the full exchange that took place yesterday at the. I want to play. So in the moment, I'll have that. In the moment, I was told that we actually had that queued up, but I'll have that in just a moment. But yesterday, many people have been responding to this, first and foremost. She had actually met with ESPN. ESPN then said that they did talk to her about this. She has not been suspended. She has not been fired. She's not been reprimanded. But yesterday, she also responded. This was her only statement, not on her television show with Michael Smith. This is what she tweeted yesterday. Let's go right to it. She said this here. Please pull it up, please. Her statement. Thank you. So to address the elephant in the room, facts. My comments on Twitter express my personal beliefs. My regret is that my comments and the public way I made them painted ESPN in an unfair light. My respect for the company and my colleagues remain unconditional. So now let's play the full comment from Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
You mentioned a couple times today, sort of emphasized diversity in the West Wing, and you talked about the president being very clear after Charlottesville and denouncing all hate. I just wanted to read a comment from an influential African-American sportscaster from ESPN yesterday who said, Donald Trump is a white supremacist who has largely surrounded himself with other white supremacists. His rise is a direct result of white supremacy, period. He's unqualified and fit to be president. Why do you think, do you have a reaction to that? And is the president aware of that comment? And
I'm not sure if he's aware, but I think that's one of the more outrageous comments that anyone could make, and certainly something that I think is a fireable offense by ESPN.
If the president was so clear, as he said, why do you think influential African-American figures are saying things like that?
I'm not going to speak for that individual, but I know that the president has met, again, with people like Senator Scott, who are highly respected leaders in the African-American community. He's committed to working with them to bring the country together. I think that's where we need to be focused, not on outrageous statements like that one.
So outrageous, huh? Okay. Reverend Al Sharpton, TMZ caught up with him, and he shared his thoughts about what Jemele Hill had to say and what he would do if ESPN tried to move against her.
Let's not forget, ESPN is regulated by FCC. FCC commissioners are appointed by the White House, so it's a whole different level of intimidation on media outlets when you have the press secretary saying it, and it violates this young lady's First Amendment right.
What would you say to Jemele Hill right now?
Stand strong. If they take you out, many of us in the civil rights community will stand up for you and take ESPN off of our service.
Well, also yesterday, the National Association of Black Journalists released a statement offering full support for Jemele Hill. This is what they put out. The National Association of Black Journalists supports Hill's First Amendment rights on all matters of discussion within and outside the world of sports, as they do not impinge on her duties as a host and commentator. So that was the second part. This is what the first part of what they said. Jemele Hill is an award-winning veteran journalist who has distinguished herself for having insightful opinions and perspectives on a variety of topics. Having been successful along those lines for 20 years, she has been able to connect with viewers on ESPN as well as on various social media platforms. And again, that was a full statement put out by the National Association of Black Journalists, of which Jemele is a member, as well as myself. A number of people also have come to her support, including NFL player Colin Kaepernick. He sent this tweet out: "We are with you, Jemele Hill." Also, Michael Wilbon put out a quote, also making it perfectly clear that he stands with her. Many have been criticizing her, some calling her the N-word, others threatening her life. And so that's what's going on in this country. Now, let's talk about it with our panel. A. Scott Bolden, legal analyst and chairman of the National Bar Association's PAC. Sue Zoldak, founding CEO of the Zoldak Agency. Rashad Robinson, executive director of colorofchange.org. All right, folks, so here's what's interesting here. So you have Stephen Miller, who Richard Spencer, the white supremacist, said Stephen Miller was his role model at Duke. You have Sebastian Gorka, okay, who has no problem wearing regalia tied to Nazi-loving organizations. You've got Steve Bannon, who said that Breitbart was the home of the alt-right, which, frankly, are white supremacists. These are all people Donald Trump has hired. This White House has no problem with them. Gorka is gone, Bannon is gone, but Stephen Miller is still there right now. You've got somebody Trump is going to put at the USDA, who was one of the biggest birthers. You've got the President of the United States himself, who lied about the birth certificate of the President, who put that crap out, which was racist crap, which contributed to these people running around talking about he wasn't American and he was a Muslim. So who the hell are they to have the audacity to say somebody should be fired when you have that sort of nonsense going on in this White House?
Don't forget about the AG, too. You missed him, the little wizard over at the Department of Justice, the Attorney General.
I mean, there's zero evidence that Donald Trump is a white racist. Now, should someone be fired over
Zero
that?
evidence.
No, there isn't.
Empirical data.
No, there is not.
There is empirical data. You just heard that.
Kim, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, Kim.
My name's Sue.
Kim,
but
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sue, I'm sorry. I know, I don't know why. So, Sue, I need you to explain this to me. He hires Steve Bannon, who says that Breitbart is the home of the alt-right and they're white supremacists.
Alt-right is not equivalent to white supremacy.
Yes, they are.
No.
Yes, they are.
That's something that you're saying.
No, who is one of the alt-right? Who is one of the alt-right leaders who I had on this show? Richard Spencer. Is he a white supremacist?
He is. He has said he is.
He says
That's
what?
Different.
You don't believe him? You got to believe when people show you who they are and tell you
Has
who they are.
Donald Trump said, "I'm a white supremacist"?
He has certainly supported white supremacists.
You have white supremacists.
There are good people there, and he's retweeted white supremacist Twitter rants during his campaign.
And now he's done that, correct?
Exactly.
I don't. That does not say that he believes that white people are superior to black people.
Here's what I'm trying to.
He actually does. He's actually done a couple of things. Going as far back as not renting to black people, being reprimanded by the Department of Justice, to everything he's done with the Central Park 5, and never apologizing. Over and over again, he showed us who he was, and we have to listen. But this is also part of a larger project that's happening on the right wing. That if you call someone or you call someone a racist or call out the truth or talk about racism, you are in fact a racist. And this is part of a larger project to prevent us from actually being able to talk about the real concrete harms, the real problems in our community, the real problems that racism causes. Donald Trump, over and over again, is a 70-year-old man that has shown us time and time again what he believes about race, what his worldview is on race. He has put people in positions time and time again to prove that. And for you to come on air and look at the viewers and say that Donald Trump is not a racist is like completely unfortunate.
I think we're glossing over the other point that she is a sportscaster and she is a role model in her community. And this is not a place where she should be, as a representative of the sportscasting community or of ESPN, to be saying anyone's a white supremacist.
One second. I'm trying to understand this here.
Hit the first minute.
I'm just trying to understand this here.
Sure.
Are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that because she's in sports she can't talk about public policy?
No, I'm just saying she has a role, a public persona that she can't separate that from.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wow. Are you trying to say again that because she covers sports, no, she's not a spokesperson. She's the host of a television show. Because she's not a spokesperson. She's not a spokesperson for any community. She's not a spokesperson for the sports community. She's a host of a television show, like I am. She shouldn't comment?
No.
Really?
Did something happen to her
Hold on 1 second. She shouldn't comment.
Did Donald Trump do something to her personally?
She shouldn't be commenting. Let me ask you a question. Who was a co-host of a town hall on an HBCU campus with the 44th president of the United States?
I don't know.
She was.
Well, in that role.
No. So what does that? So what does that tell you? What does that tell you is if she was the co-host of a town hall with the 44th president of the United States, I would think she can comment on the 45th president of the United States. And so I'm trying to understand.
She has no actual proof that he's a white supremacist.
Here's the deal. So let me ask you a question. So let me ask you a question. The White House. Scott wants to speak to this here. The Congress passed a resolution condemning white supremacy, condemning racism, calling what happened to Heather Heyer domestic terrorism. It's been 48 hours. This White House refuses to even say if Trump is going to sign that. I'm sorry, how hard is this?
That's not a definition of being a white racist.
Scott, go ahead.
Well, here's the deal. You know,
if you can't even say you're going to sign a resolution unanimously passed by Congress calling out white supremacy, calling out racism, calling what happened in Charlottesville, domestic terror, if you can't even say, I'm going to sign that, what the hell is your problem?
Roland, why are we debating? This
is hilarious.
We don't need Sue to agree with us to know we're right about him being a white racist or a sympathizer or someone who equivocates in regard to white hate groups. The data is there. His words are there. Let's stop debating it. Now, with regard to Jemele, a couple things are going on here. One, she never loses her First Amendment right to speak her mind on politics, and it was on her own private Twitter account. As an employer, the ESPN has a real issue because you cannot affect her First Amendment right to speak her mind, which is why her statement said it may have put ESPN in the false light. But don't look for ESPN to say too much about Jemele as far as firing or terminating and what have you.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. First of all,
that's not true.
Scott, ESPN fired Kurt Schilling.
I said don't look for her, don't look for them to affect her employment because this was done on our personal time.
Scott,
you can't interrupt me if you won't let me finish my point.
When Kurt Schilling, who works for ESPN, made some personal comments on his own pages and was fired by ESPN.
Yeah. But that's drawing a distinction.
And as someone who gets people fired for stuff, I'm telling you, like, you can, no, I mean, as someone who, like, gets people fired for stuff, companies can fire people. If I say something on the air right now that, like, my organization doesn't approve of it, board of directors,
let me finish,
they can decide
I will draw the distinction, since I'm the only one on the panel who's ever defended or prosecuted employment claims on this panel.
But he's also got folks fired.
He may have. I'm saying with Jemele, it's very different. That's why they haven't moved efficiently or effectively against her, because she did it on her own time. It was she has her First Amendment right. Hold on. And secondly, there is empirical data to support the accuracy of what she was saying.
Scott, you might be a lawyer, but you're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong about that.
Folks have been fired for making.
They hadn't.
By ESPN.
This case.
Okay, I'm just trying to tell you.
Doesn't get fired for any of that.
That's not going to happen. But let me make another quick point.
Scott, there's a difference between saying it's not going to happen and saying they can't.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is they can.
I'm telling you they may, but they would face significant exposure if they did in this particular circumstance.
Okay. Here's the bottom line is this here. For the White House to stand there and make this comment is utterly nonsensical. It makes no sense at all. I was going to talk to Congresswoman Karen Bass about this, the House passing this whole issue of police forfeiture. I do, though, I want to talk to her about that. I do quickly want to go to her to get her comment on this. The fact that Congresswoman Bass, the White House, would be so adamant about what Jemele Hill said, but say nothing about Stephen Miller, say nothing about protect Sebastian Gorka for so long, hire this dude at the USDA who is an absolute birther, who's made all kinds of race-based comments. The White House, frankly, Congresswoman Bass, has no credibility on any of these issues.
Absolutely no credibility, and please don't forget to add in again Jefferson Boulevard session. I mean, there are a number of people in the administration, including the president, who have long track records on this issue. And so just to say that it doesn't exist is just, completely inaccurate. But it's consistent because the administration lies, and we can, some reporter added it up. There's been over 1,000 lies since he's been in office. That's multiple lies a day.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no.
That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.